last week we did an episode on the biggest trends that we saw in 2024. This is our prediction of where we think some of the biggest opportunities are going to lie for 2025. Come on, join us and let's break it down.
Here we go.
Here we go.
All right, welcome back to the channel.
Welcome back, everybody. So, biggest trend we think, or we are predicting in January of 2025 that we're going to continue to see. We saw a little bit of this in 2024. I think this trend is going to move forward.
And over the years, we've seen versions of it. It just keeps growing, it seems like.
Yes, we have. I talked a little bit about some of this at IAR in 2024 back in Orlando. It's growing, right? So, kind of like driving on ice, impact is inevitable here. So, we've got to prep for some of that. And so that's why we're talking about it today. And that thing is who can sign off on the documents.
Absolutely.
Safety, PSM, whatever the document is.
That's correct.
We have signatures that have to happen on documents.
By someone.
We have to make sure that that is the right someone. And that right someone changes based on what the document is and what's on it. So let's break that down.
So the first one we look at is we have to identify who's in charge of that section.
Yeah, like is this environmental? Is this safety?
Absolutely.
Is this PSM? Who is kind of the overarching person that manages this subject first?
That's
we
correct.
Might have many stakeholders that have an interest.
It could be a forklift inspection. Someone has to validate it. It could be a confined space. It could be PSM side. It could be environmental. It could be a contractor coming on site. Each one of those have different people that could be managing those.
Yep. So it could be ops in some circumstances.
Absolutely.
Depending on where you are, and we talked about this at one
like
point.
a lockout tagout validation. That could be ops all day long.
Absolutely could be ops. They may be in a better position because of their understanding about how that equipment works, the troubleshooting, what has to happen for sanitation to take place. They may have a better understanding of
you got sanitation, you said. Yeah.
Yeah, what that validation is for that lockout, maybe more so than the safety person.
Correct.
So they may be the subject matter expert.
You've got to figure that out first.
So I think really what it boils down to, and we'll talk about solutions at the end, is there are going to be subject matter experts, and we want to make sure that we identify who that is for each of the different forms.
So that's the first one. Identify who's in charge of that particular problem, process, project, whatever you want to call it.
Who owns it, who manages the program, who trains the people. Yes, absolutely.
The next one is you got to say to yourself, if I'm in charge of it, am I qualified?
Yeah.
And if the answer is, it's really easy. You know or you don't know.
Yeah, you got to be honest on this one. You really have to be honest about your limitations, right? You've got to be truthful.
Like if you had to evaluate a tie-off point for elevator work, I have engineering background, I have certifications, I've been in industry a lot.
Degree.
I'm not doing that. That's not my side.
Not the engineer for you.
No. So just because, you have so many versions, different people's backgrounds is what we're trying to say.
Yep.
You have to say to yourself, I've now been handed this task and I'm in charge of this process. Mm-hmm. Am I qualified to do that?
Absolutely.
And if you say no, now that's your next thing. You got to have the right training.
Absolutely. You can wire lights all day, every day.
I can't.
I am not, we know, but I am not going to do the electrical training for a plant.
No.
Just not.
Oh, so you
need to be honest about if there's someone who is genuinely better qualified and it's just a better idea, especially if you're not the end user.
Absolutely.
And you're training other people to go and do a task where they can get severely injured on. You got to really be honest on this one.
All right. So we've got to figure out who's in charge of what, right? Mm-hmm. And we got to figure out if you're qualified. And then the next thing you got to do, right when you say, yep, I've got all that, you got to say to yourself, do I understand the problems the end user could have? I cannot answer those problems. My training and my qualification is not right.
So I'll give you an example. So one of the big trends that we are seeing is PSM is shifting around right now. Everyone is over leveraged. So safety is like, well, we don't want it. And engineering's like, but OSHA regulates it. We don't want it. We're running short. We're trying to keep the floors on. We don't want it. Environmental is like, well, we don't really want it either. And sometimes safety is environmental, same person. Sure. And so now you've got this
sometimes I'm HR now and I'm running all of them because they don't have the other positions there.
Yes. So now it's like, who's going to be in charge of PSM? What manager is going to be in charge? What we really need to be asking though is who understands thermodynamics? who understands how the product flows through the pipes. Is the subject matter expert the only subject matter expert we have
Correct.
at the plant? The person who's gone to operator 1, 2, or taking those classes is the
Correct.
greatest certification. And is the hourly, is that the only person that really genuinely understands how the system functions and how to get it back on track if we start deviating and going the wrong way, having issues?
Right.
How do they understand how to correct from that deviation or how to shut down a leak? If we don't have any other technical experts that really can supply those answers on site, that's going to be a flag. We need to pause and start putting some other buffers in place.
And
start
that's
getting a hold of people, start figuring out a plan, because I can't have someone who doesn't understand the system sign off on a line break.
right. So my last one is I'm signing off on this hot work. The idea is we don't have a fire.
Yeah.
If we do, I'm signing off on a line break. I don't have a leak. But what do we do? I understand I'm signing off on the forklift being repaired. You got to look at that person signing. There's a reason they're signing something.
Yeah.
It's not just signing a document. They're signing it saying they're taking ownership of that item. So they need to be thinking about, yes, I'm qualified. Yes, I understand. But I need to be planning for what could go wrong because weird things happen when you start signing documents.
Well, I'll give you just a little bit of an example. So I have safety managers and I have engineers and I have operators. What happens if everyone is 6 months or less or a year or
That's
less
right.
at that particular facility? Just because I'm a safety manager, just because I'm a maintenance manager or an engineer, that does not mean or guarantee that I have ever had any ammonia refrigeration experience or training at all. But typically, those manager roles are asked to sign things like management of
Correct.
changes,
Correct.
PSSRs.
Update programs and procedures.
Yep, we have to sign off like, yes, this SOP is
It's
correct.
correct.
But if I don't understand the system, I'm not sure what I'm looking for. So how can I say that I, as a manager, Jen,
correct.
this is correct,
Because you're not
and train others on this document that's saying, yes, this is good to go? I don't know what I don't know.
Because now you don't know what could happen if you do it wrong.
Mhm.
So because you don't know that,
I'm
you
just
could
saying seems fine.
you could be
seems
creating
fine.
catastrophic.
Yeah.
But that's why there's different categories of it. It's not just do one thing. You have to break these down, look at them, and then close out with solutions. Now, give me some ideas.
So this kind of goes back to the trends that we saw back last
Absolutely.
episode in 2024, is that some of our managers don't have that food industry experience. You know, they're not at the same location for 15 years, 30 years. We're starting to see more of that turnover.
Right.
We're starting to see less experience. So people that are coming to us are coming from outside of the industry. They don't know.
Or there's
some of
someone
these different
internal they
things.
promoted, and
Or
they're
it
like,
was
"Hey,
a
you've been here
or-
for 20 years, so we're going to give you this job now."
Promotion could have been a
Absolutely.
supervisor promotion, which is awesome. But we do need to evaluate and make sure that we're going to ask managers to sign certain documents, that they have a certain baseline knowledge to make sure that they understand what they're signing. Otherwise, again, just throw it in the trash, because the check and balance that was intended to happen when that manager signed off,
That's a control feature.
that was the control
Yep.
feature, and they didn't have the knowledge to evaluate whether we were really good to go or not.
Correct.
And then the last part of that piece of the equation is that we also can't have hourly signing legal documents.
That's correct.
Right. So that's the other piece, is that we really want to make sure that we do have a manager signing those documents. And if we don't have the right training for them, there's a lot of great options in terms
Absolutely.
of the different training that they can get. They can do internal, external. There may be somebody within your company that is a subject matter expert at another location that they can shadow.
Absolutely.
There's all kinds of options, third parties. There's some great ammonia trainers and schools out there. DM us if you've got questions on LinkedIn. But again,
These are our opinions.
these are our opinions. This is just my prediction. This is just what we have seen.
We'd be a lottery ticket if we knew exactly.
I know. I would play the lottery. So this is just what we're anticipating. We'll see if it comes true and comes to fruition. If you want some help on site, allen-safety.com. We do a lot of 1-day, 2-day PSM evaluations, safety evaluations. I don't love the word audit because it's not.
We call it
I don't like auditing paperwork on a computer or in a conference room.
We call
I
it
like to do it
a
on the floor.
process improvement visit.
That has to do with safety.
Yeah, that's what we
That
call
is
it.
Safety related. Yes, there you go. So we can do some on-site training. We got you. Otherwise, if in-person services are not in the budget, safetycoaching.com is a great in-between. Over 100 different lessons on there,
Yep.
videos, and it includes free email-based coaching. And I would be amiss if I didn't say, please like, subscribe, and share if this helped you. It really does help. Till next time.
Thank you for listening to Safe, Efficient, Profitable, a worker safety podcast. If you're looking for more in-depth discussions or step-by-step solutions on all of the different safety and regulatory topics, please visit us at www.allensafetycoaching.com for web-based virtual coaching and training, or at www.allen-safety.com to book our team for on-site services, training sessions, to order merchandise, to learn more about our team and what services we provide in the field, or just simply to request a topic for us to cover on our next podcast. If you found today's podcast helpful and would like to support our podcast further, please help us by subscribing, liking, and sharing this podcast with anyone that could benefit from the information we cover here, as that helps us to continue to put out this free content. Thank you so much for your support.